I'm Chloe, and today I'm so glad to introduce all of you about my two short films at Paramount Museum. I have presented my huge love for the museum into my footage. I really hope that you will enjoy my films, the museum, as well as the passionate volunteers of the museum. Thank you.
Whole weight. Go on. Yeah, you're very strong. Okay.
Is it a truffle? This one, oh, let's see what in this one. So this is a big fish out here.
The interview you're about to watch is one of 4 short films that I completed while volunteering at the Powerhouse Museum as part of an internship with my degree. This is the first of those interviews in which I interviewed Cedric, who is a quite funny and charming man, and we bonded through mutual interests of linguistics and space exploration. The interview I did with him was at times hard, hearing his answers through his French accent, but overall it was really fun to get to know more about him and what he was interested in. I shot the interview, did the sound with it as well, and did all the other B-roll that I wanted to accompany his interview, and edited it all in the one day. So it was a really great process, and I learned a lot about asking questions, and he was a pleasure to work with, so I hope you enjoy Cedric's interview.
Bonjour, je m'appelle Cedric et je suis volontaire au Powerhouse Museum de Sydney. I've been volunteering for about 6 months. There are so many exciting things in this museum. I'm a bit of a space and robotic freak, so I would have to say that first, the current Apollo 11 exhibition is really great for me to be able to be involved in. The part I'm most fond of in the museum is the Mars yard downstairs in level 1. With the fascinating reproduction of the Mars landscape and the robots and various things that are linked to that part of the museum. Space is where I see the future of mankind. It's exciting, a lot of unknown. It triggers your imagination. And actually, when you are on the floor, as a volunteer, we meet all sorts of people from different ages. We meet a lot of kids, and certainly what I really enjoy is the fact that we have an opportunity to help kids get inspired, a kind of form of education. I've had one, a very young girl, I think she was probably about 3 years old, barely spoke, but she knew all the planets in the solar system in order. She knew the name of the biggest mountain in the solar system, Mount Olympus on Mars. And I was just amazed. I thought, wow, at that young age somebody can already passionate about space and know things. I would not have been able to do the same feat when I was 3 years old, that's for sure. I'd love to help in the colonization of the moon and then Mars. I know that the chance is very, very slim. However, the fun part is I think that actually it is still a possibility. So I have made a lot of connections in the past 6 months in space and robotics. And indeed I've started various other ventures beside the museum that would not have been possible without the museum. I keep coming back to the museum simply because there are always opportunities to learn. I'm constantly learning from other volunteers, from people visiting the museum. I can't wait to see what the day is going to bring. Every weekend is different. The museum is really bringing a lot of experiences together, and it's quite a unique opportunity.
Hi, I'm Scott. I'm one of the volunteers from JMC, and I made the video you're about to watch. It's about two conservation volunteers, Jim and John, and I had an absolute blast making it. I got to spend a lot of time listening to John and Jim and telling their stories and their experiences, the different projects they worked on while they were at the museum, and I learned a lot. So I hope you enjoy it and you hopefully learn something too, or at least have fun listening to the stories.
My name is John Cooper. I'm an ex-high school teacher teaching woodwork and metalwork, and I've been here about 10 years. It's a lot of fun, but it's also hard work sometimes.
I'm Jim Poole. I work with John in conservation. My background's in heavy engineering. The place here is absolutely fascinating because we get to work on things that the normal person doesn't even see. I've been here, as I say, 14 years and loved every minute of it.
It's difficult to say a favourite, but some we've worked on for so long, months and months and months, that they become part of the system here. You know exactly what you've got to do every time you come in. You've got next step to do. So, some big jobs like the telescope that's up in the observatory now, and the time ball work all top of the observatory. That was interesting and a bit different, and we had to use some pretty old technology to get the same reproduction that was originally there.
My favourite's undoubtedly the first project I worked on in Castle Hill, and that was the restoration of the iceberg, a steel sloop that was famously sailed around Antarctica by a Kiwi come Australian guy. And it was rolled a number of times. It was severely damaged. It was eventually used for custom sailing on the Hawkesbury River. And when the museum was given it, it turned out to be a rusty old hulk, basically. We restored it, and that's when I learned a lot of the intricacies of the museum way of life. But with the iceberg, the techniques that we used were to make it look good, as it should be, but we weren't allowed to do the normal things. For example, a steel hull boat with a great hole in the hull, my answer would be to get a sheet of steel and weld it in. But you can't do that in a museum, because the steel you weld in is not necessarily the same steel that was in the boat. So what we had to do, we had to fit this hole that was 1 metre wide and half a metre high, weird shape, had to fit a bit of steel in there, screw it in so it could be removed, make all the fittings inside the hull different colour and removable, so that someday in the dim distant future, if someone wants to really know about this boat, they can pull this piece out and say, well, that's not original, but the rest of it is. I've been in 2 different actions of volunteering in this place. One is a guide, which I love, and I particularly love the young kids, because I believe if you can interest a young kid in a museum, is a museum tragic for life. And the older people, I mean, at the powerhouse, we've got a lot of day-to-day items that people of a certain age will have used. We have a buggy, horse-drawn cart actually, that was built in 12 or 13. And I was waffling on one day to a group of senior citizens about this beautiful bit of machinery, because it is. It was all done with an adze and an axe. It's quite spectacular. And this guy said, and I quote, Jesus, you might think it's fascinating, but it's not too bloody fascinating when you're trying to chuck bags of wheat up onto the top stack. I said, oh yeah. He said, yeah, I did it for 2 years. Hard work. That's the sort of people. You know, I had another issue with trams. We had, of all things, I was showing a book of tram tickets. And this guy asked me if I'd ever, because I was interested in trams, seen or heard of the blue canaries fly. I said, no. He said, I'll tell you a long and fascinating story. And he told it to me. So there's a lot of fascinating things, a lot of history in it.
Yeah, I think if I needed a change from this, I would definitely like to get on the floor. By that I mean be there at 10 o'clock when it opens, be available to take a highlight tour, or maybe to take people into a new exhibition that's open. We have some just amazing things. If you can get an enthusiastic guide to any exhibition, it can double the value to somebody who just walks in, looks around and walks out again.
Hi, I'm Kay. I'm the filmmaker of the interview you're about to watch. I come from Hong Kong, and I was very happy to be a volunteer here, working with so many lovely people and have a lot of fun. I really appreciate this experience and hope all of you can enjoy the films. This interview you're about to watch is about Cal, who is not only very knowledgeable in science, but also in culture and history. So he told me a lot of fascinating stories. And one of them is about a train, which made me feel like I was in a train ride with him through the Australian history. So by watching this film, hope you can enjoy a trip down the memory lane too.
My name is Kel O'Keefe. I've been a volunteer here now for a bit over 4 years. I've always been interested in science, and particularly in the philosophy of science. I studied that at university, and I could see that there was a deep link in the foundation of the Powerhouse Museum and the philosophy of science. I'm quite interested in the scientific background of some of the major exhibits, such as the Bolton and Watt engine, its significance as a component of industrial society, as well as the development of practical science through Mr. Watt. And I think that's one of the most fascinating exhibits at the museum, particularly the ancillary collection, which you have to ascend the staircase to have a look at. I've got too many anecdotes to list. I remember one that stands out was a school teacher. We had finished the presentation on the rocket and she said, you know, I really regret not continuing to study science at school because it was a subject that I thought I was bad at and it was taught very, very badly. And what you have done is show me what it was all about and what I could have achieved if it had been taught differently, and thank you very much. And I think that was one of the most rewarding exchanges that I've had. One of the other reasons I'm drawn to being a volunteer at the Powerhouse is that it gives you a real window on the community, and sometimes, particularly children, can be quite amazing. I remember about 2 years ago, I was doing a rocket display. We have some props that provide a side story as to who invented the rockets and why it was invented. And we have posters that we hold up and we engage the children with it. And there was a poster of a Chinese soldier firing a rocket. And we explained the whole process, that there were hundreds of rockets that they could just overwhelm the enemy. But up in one corner was the formula for what was used to fuel the rocket. And I had this little kid who was about 10 or 11 who piped up and said, I know that, that's the formula for gunpowder. I mean, there's no way that I would have ever had any clue about those sorts of chemical formulas at that age. And so it always amazes me, but it's absolutely fascinating.
Hi, it's Nisha and I'm here to introduce the second film that I did as part of the Powerhouse Volunteer Filmmaker Experience. This one was with the work experience students, which was a fabulous group of girls. They took me around the museum and led the project by showing me what they'd learnt during their week. They also gave me some really interesting facts that they'd discovered, as well as, doing a dance here and there to make the project fun, creative and interesting. We definitely focused on bringing a little comedy and joy to show exactly how enjoyable the work experience week can be, and to hopefully encourage more students to apply in the future. I definitely have not had this much fun working on a video experience, and these girls were definitely the reason why. So I really hope you can see that energy come through, so please enjoy. Thank you.
Hi, welcome to the Powerhouse Museum Work Experience Week.
Sorry, what was that?
There is a real man still trapped inside this spacesuit. Please free him.
Is that something you learned here this week?
Yep. Yes.
Yep.
It's a trade secret.
Yep.
It's a trade secret.
Okay, that's alright.
Alright, hi, my name's Katie and I'm from Canterbury Girls.
Hi, my name is Crystal and I'm from Baulkham Hills High.
I'm Kate, I'm in Year 10 and I'm from Montgrove College.
I'm Lucy, I'm in Year 10 and I'm from Smiths Hill High School.
Yeah, we're here for work experience.
One of the videos we took was when Crystal was using AR, which is like augmented reality, and she decided that she would use that incredibly advanced technology to throw balloons at me and a globe.
Yeah.
So...
And she didn't know.
I didn't.
Lunch was really good, especially when you're really hungry. I think I had the pulled pork burger.
Is that related to the videos we took?
I could... Yes, it was.
They do good burgers there.
I even took a picture of it.
Yes, you did.
We saw some global warming artifacts from the
recent climate marches.
Yeah. And we wrote our opinions about them.
Pretty cool.
Oh, we got to dress up in space costumes.
We did.
Yeah, that was
exciting.
Well, there's one ridiculously loud video of some, cogs from 1854 just kind of going nuts. That was at the Sydney Observatory where the time ball dropped, which is a huge, massive yellow metal ball that drops at 1 p.m. that people set their watches to. We climbed up next to it. It was terrifying. but it was a really good example of all the kind of things that Sydney Observatory does, and you know how cool that stuff can be.
Here is a life-size version of the moon.
This is possibly the comfiest chair that I've ever sat in.
Is that what your takeaway is from this week?
That is my takeaway.
I think really just try to jump into it. Like oftentimes you'll be like kind of observing, so really don't be afraid to kind of jump in and ask questions and help. It's worth it just for like the times when you're left alone and it can just go nuts in the museum for a week.
Which we totally didn't do.
Which we totally didn't do.
Making the film has been fun.
Very.
Well, I really like the variety here, being able to help with the volunteers. I liked that we got to go on some of the tours as well, so I was learning a lot, like, while getting experience as well.
We would do this work experience again.
Definitely.
It was really good.
Yeah.